Yeah, car prices have really been sinking like a rock. And, I've been doing a little research and I can't help but say that what I've noticed in recent days, actually recent weeks and months, is a lot of the new car prices are dive bombing, dropping like a rock, with the exception of a few. Oddly enough, there's a few of these strange anomalies in the market that for some reason still defy reason, still defy why people are even spending the money, and I struggle to understand. But going through some of the research here, there's about 9 or 10 vehicles or thereabouts that still are holding on for dear life, and they're trying their hardest to fight the whole process. So I can't help but talk about the fact that there's going to be some great deals out there on the new car market. Used is different. I mean, in some cases, new is where you're going to find the deal. And I've said this before about the Corvette C8 is a classic example of you have to buy that car new. You buy it used, you're getting ripped off. People are charging 15, 20, 30% above sticker of new, but for a used car with 15 or 20,000 kilometers. So it's just bizarre to me why that's happening at all. We also found better deals buying a Camry brand new. We just had to wait a few months and we had a brand new car with plastic on the seats versus some of the old junk that you're finding on the used car market with high miles and accident history, possible flood damage. I've seen some. We've done some research on that front. I will say, looking in some of the history or some of the research that I've found, what we're seeing is kind of as around, the end of June into July of this year is kind of when we've seen that flip. We've seen some of these new car prices flip over and all of a sudden to a place now where you can get some great deals on some new vehicles. Forget about the used market. That's a whole nother anomaly we'll talk about. But if you're shopping for a new car, a new truck, there's lots of great deals. Look at what's going on the truck market. Stellantis, GM, Chevy, all of those brands, all of the Fords, all of the big three about to embark on a UAW strike, or potentially right now. It's just around the corner and the talks are happening. So there's a big risk that those brands are going to have to sit out for a while and wait for that all to get negotiated. Meantime, they filled up a lot of their lots. And now, while truck prices keep climbing up, and I've said this in other videos, the fact remains, what I've seen is most of those trucks are held at sticker. Vehicle prices are obscene today anyhow, and that's another conversation. But in terms of what the manufacturer's suggested retail price goes, a lot of these vehicles are clearly they're marked at what they are and they're hitting the lots. And while there's some anomalies, we've seen it and I've talked about that for the most part, a lot of those you're finding at sticker. But we're finding the trending in the right direction here. Now, what I see here is based on Kelley Blue Book. They're basically recorded as of July 2023 right now. The average non-luxury car price was around $44,700, but that's actually up 0.5% from the year before, which if you think about it, well, that doesn't sound like prices are going down, but wait a minute. If you really compare it month on month, rolling over month, we're actually finding that it's finally tipped over. We're starting to see some significant decreases from the month before and the month before that. So yeah, while prices were a little lower last July, they continued to climb very aggressively over the course of this last 12 months. And now this last couple months showed definitive flip in the marketplace on new cars. And what we are seeing is that's about $471 lower than the previous month is what we're seeing. And the average price dropped about 2% from a record high of $45,578 set in December. So the end of 22, before the calendar year flipped over, it peaked. And it's been dropping and slowly declining, and there's been some plateaus and some drops and dips ever since. And last month was a significant drop, and now prices are actually down. Electric vehicles are also down about 19% from June of 22. There's lots more competition now. I think the rage is sort of stabilized. A lot of electric cars just aren't going. They're realizing in the used car market they're hurting. new car prices. I don't know if you've seen, but Tesla's been slashing their prices. They actually just did another price slash here this week. And so prices are dropping aggressively. They keep, knocking down the competition by slicing their own prices. But so we're seeing electric car prices changing. Now, another thing to mention with electric vehicles, Kelley Blue Book's recorded a peak incentivization of the sale of brand new electric cars to the tune of about $148, $2,148 is where they're incentivizing the purchasing. So in other words, they're giving buyers reason to buy that electric car by offering extra discounts and dollars off, so it makes it more palatable to get into the used car or to get into the electric car market. So that's a big thing going on in electric vehicles in the new car segment anyhow. Now, according to market research manager Rebecca, she basically says at Kelley Blue Book that prices are dropping on new cars significantly. And there's a lot more incentives for people to buy these new cars as there's more flooding of the market. Clearly, we're seeing the big three loading up with trucks. There's more cars of every manufacturer, with the exception, of course, of a couple unique ones, which we've talked about. Toyota and Honda seem to be suffering a little bit. Go onto the Toyota car lots, and it's almost a barren desert over there. But for the most part, most car manufacturers are filling up their car lots again, and there's lots of opportunities. And also because the incentives on the electric cars, as well as the reduction in purchasing of new luxury cars, just because of what's happening now with high interest rates, high inflation, people are backing off on those luxury car purchases. Now what we're seeing is the fact remains is the average is dropping. So the average new car buying price has actually dropped significantly this year already since December of 22. And then, yes, used car prices have also dropped, other than a few anomalies which I've mentioned, like the Corvette, for example. But a lot of these price drops are impacting SUVs, vans, trucks, you name it. Used car markets are seeing the hit too. But this isn't really what that's about. But it is, in fact, indirectly a bit of an indicator. And that's something I've been seeing. And I've been watching car prices because I've personally been shopping a little bit. And I just see that prices are slowly stabilizing, settling out, dropping down. I'm getting dealers calling me, cold calling me now. As I mentioned, I was out checking out a C8 Corvette there a couple weeks back. Now I can't shake that salesperson. They're constantly trying to hound me with still overpriced used cars. But I mean, to his chagrin, I'm not buying a car like that when I can basically walk in there, pay 110 grand all in for a loaded up 2LT car, and he's still offering me 120 grand for a 22 model year with 5,000 kilometers on it. Just makes no sense. So they'll figure it out eventually. But they're not going to pull me into that little silliness there. And buyer beware, if you're looking at cars like the Corvette C8 as well as, say, the Ford Bronco, there are some escalated prices there. But anyway, what we're looking at is, prices have been dropping $300 on average, $250 in that range for SUVs, vans. It's not a massive drop, but it's a drop. And remember, it's month on month. We're starting to see that steady decline. So this might be getting close to that time. Now, even, with the recent declines, with all of this activity, the fact that interest rates are high, people are buying, the majority of buyers are still looking for non-luxury cars. What's the lowest price non-luxury car that went through a transaction here this last year? Well, we're talking about a Mitsubishi, and it actually went for just under $20,000. It's just $19,000 and change, and that's the kind of transaction that people are finding a little easier pill to swallow. But the fact remains that even the bottom barrel cars are still holding a solid price, although they are dropping. And again, as I say, there's cars like the Mitsubishi Mirage, which went for about $19,205. But to put all of this cost of living concept in context, back to 2018, wasn't very long ago, there was over a dozen vehicles that you could get for under 20 grand. Such is not the case today. So that's just the way life goes. Again, people are paying a lot more money for their cars these days, and manufacturers have jacked up prices over, it's like McDonald's. Go to get a Big Mac meal. 10 years ago, that was $5. Today it's 13. But you don't see it you don't see it at every single visit. You see it, if you take a step back and you look over the course of that period, that's when you're seeing it. And the same thing goes here with the car market. And what we're seeing here as well, Many of the today's smallest vehicles, such as the Hyundai Venue and the Kia Rio, Toyota Corolla, Versa, are well over $20,000. Cars that were normally just basically nickel and dime two-bit operations, cars that were just more affordable, just the go-to A to B type vehicles, are now moving up in price. As I mentioned, everything's going up in price. So cutting right to the chase, I do have a list. I've done a little bit of research here, and I'm finding some vehicles that the worst offenders for still selling over sticker on average. Yeah, I know people are going to dispute this. I guess that's okay. If you can find a better deal, great, count yourself lucky. I'm just looking at the average, and statistically, the vehicles that are holding values above MSRP, manufacturer suggested retail price, goes something like this. The Jeep Renegade. Renegade is, we know it's not a well-made vehicle. It's a Jeep. The Jeep Renegade, it's their smaller little Jeep. It's their almost subcompact SUV. It's not the big Wrangler per se. It's the Renegade. It's the little one. It has that wonderful Tiger Shark engine, and potentially you can even get a manual in it. But that car, because it's so small, it does appeal to a cost-effective buyer, a buyer looking for something small, easy on fuel, easy to afford. And so that car, or mini SUV, is still selling at 13% over MSRP. In other words, you can expect $27,850 up to about $32,970. And the next little hot rod is the Kia Carnival. Believe it or not, I know there was a local dealer here that was holding out. It was playing a little bait and switch here. I don't want to get into it. The reality is there's a lot of people, they were overextending themselves. They might have one model and they advertise and they get 4 people down there sort of bidding against that one vehicle. Allegedly, this was happening. There's been stories, customers that have been hard done by and told to go home and wait for the next one in line. It's a bad time. Those were really popular vehicles. This new Kia Carnival, essentially the minivan, 13% over sticker, going for as high as $46,200. Ford Ranger, oh no, we've heard about some of the scams. Ford Ranger, you know what's going on there? Latest deal at some greasy Ford dealers, not all, allegedly, some of the worst dealers are going underground with this. They can't sell above sticker. What they're doing is they're taking on it as a used car. They're saying it's a used car. It only has, 9 or 12 kilometers or miles on it. So it's effectively brand new. It's not used. They slap it on their lot, call it used, advertise it as used, don't even give you a warranty and just say it's a used vehicle. But yet they're able to smack on a whole pile of extra padding on there just to make this extra cost adjustment or price adjustment, market adjustment fee, and it's just getting greasy out there. So the Ford Ranger is averaging over 14% over sticker, up to about almost $41,000. It's getting bizarre. The Kia K5, 14% over sticker, $31,690 as well. That's a big one. Nissan Versa, again, one of those little cheapskate cars that's easy to live with, so people are buying them. And the Nissan Versa is 14% over, $19,970. So about $20,000 is getting you in, but you're paying a premium. You're paying 14% over tag for that car. And then, of course, Nissan Kicks, another small little hot rod. A lot of people love them. They're great on gas. So they're also on 14% and over sticker at about $23,150. So a lot of cars you can see from these manufacturers that are going really cheap. Those are the cars people are buying, and that's what they're looking for. But they're willing to pay a little more because they realize I don't have the money for a luxury car. So these are some of the popular cars that aren't cheaper and aren't dropping in price like the rest. And, as we look down my list here, I see other vehicles, for example, like the Kia Sportage or Sportage, if you will. Those are flipping hands for as much as, well, it looks like an average of 15% over sticker. So that's probably one of those that represents a poor buy. If you're looking to get a deal, you're going to overpay likely. And the dealers are holding to that. For some reason, the Kias and the Hyundais are holding pretty solid value. This Kia Sportage, again, as I said, up to $43,150 or $190. Kia Seltos, another one, small little SUV. I featured it actually on the other channel there, on the car review channel. So 6-speed reviews. I actually did a recent review on that, and if you want to see that, wait till the end of the video, check it out. I did a full review on the Kia Seltos, very popular, and maybe it'll shed some light as to why that is on that video. But 15% over sticker. Again, very popular vehicle. It's if you watch the review, you'll see it's fun, it's stylish, it's got some great color combinations. If you get the upgraded engine, it's a lot of fun. It's $28,840 is kind of where those are up to. And one other one that's sort of, and I heard this one, bait and switch, very popular vehicle, and it's one of the highest over sticker right now, is the Kia Telluride. There was this sort of inflated sense that, hey, there was none available. People felt like it was timed perfectly. It came out during all this last fiasco with the last couple of years, and then people wanted it. It was the latest, greatest thing. It promised all kinds of great technology. The pricing was right, so people wanted them. It was something fresh on the market, so they just exchanged hands at way too much money, and they continually do at about 16%. We're looking at 16% over MSRP, or manufacturer's suggested retail price, and up to $53,000 for a Kia Telluride, which absolutely blows my mind. If you're going to go that route, personally, I mean, there's other options too. You may have to wait. Good competition for something like that could be, a Toyota Highlander, but you're going to have to wait for a year for that car. So if you're not in a rush, that might be an option. Lots of other great options from, say, Acura, and you're almost into Lexus territory with the cost of that. I mean, if you look at the cost overrun versus a base Lexus, say an RX, you might not be too far off the beaten path. So you might start looking at that segment, go luxury, just for the simple fact that some of these non-luxury brands are they're kind of getting up there in price. And those are a few that I just wanted to share that look to be holding a value that it far exceeds what you should be paying, which is the manufacturer suggested retail price. So I hope that helps you, everyone. Please, honestly, do your best to try to do some good shopping, understand where the good deals are, understand where the good deals aren't. If you need to have a vehicle, sure, I totally understand. But, the dealers have been playing with the most cards in their deck for the last, year and a half to 2 years. Let's flip this table a little bit. I think there's enough good products out there right now that we don't need to be overpaying for these products. Just shop around. But I hope that helps you avoid some of the key stingers, the ones that you're going to overpay for. So again, as always, be sure to check that video out. Remember, I mentioned the Kia Seltos. It's a great vehicle if you're looking for that bargain basement, fun, sprightly little SUV. Over there, you definitely want to check that out. That's this channel's video on why this is not necessarily the best time to buy. And then clearly this video is all about that. This tells you the whole story. We are transitioning down, but wait, there's better times yet ahead for the car buyers. So hope to see each and every one in the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.